Awesome Rider Mickey.
Hey YouTube, Awesome Rider here with my review of the first wave of the Rise of the TMNT figures. This was actually the review I wanted to start my TMNT reviews off of, but all I found was like, you know, the training sets. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started. So as you can see, we have the core turtles, Splinter, and some villains. Let's go ahead and start with the turtles. We'll start with Raph because he's right here. Overall, I'll have to say these figures are pretty good. Review over. No, but I have a few little problems with them, but I think for the most part they're pretty decent. They're done by Playmates who do Ben 10 and Voltron. Voltron they haven't done the greatest with, at least in terms of human figures, but in terms of the Ben 10 stuff, they do pretty good. So like paint-wise, I think this looks pretty good. It looks very accurate to the show, or at least very close. Nice colors that stand out. My only real problem with the Turtles figures themselves is the weird facial expressions. Like, you can see here, they do try to get Donnie's little overbite here from the design of the show, or Donnie, sorry, Raph. But he looks like he has like an awkward school picture day face going. And that's sometimes the problem with figures that emulate the cartoon so well, but then they don't get the right facial expression. But who knows, maybe this is your favorite one. But yeah, that is a bit weird. These aren't permanently attached, they're part of the accessories. You get the kind of glowed up fists with his weapons on them, which are removable, as you can see. And he also includes just regular versions, so if you want that. And I wanted to note that all of them include, or all the turtles include these little ninja stars. For whatever reason, I mean, I know they're ninjas, but that's like super important to them. They're in this one, in these ones, excuse me, and in the big ones. For some reason, that's like super crucial to them. The articulation's fairly standard. You have a pretty nice little hinge joint here, a little knee joint here. You got an actual little hinge joint on the feet. You get the head articulation a little bit up and down and stuff, but the little bandana bit here like kind of gets in the way. And on both the Raph figures I have, this one and the large one, I don't know why they go with this sort of like hair combed down majestically look to them. I don't know, maybe to make it seem different, but I guess you can do that, but I don't know. I'm just kind of curious about the choice of it. Maybe it's like that more often in the show and I'm just not realizing it, but I don't know. But yeah, pretty standard hinge joint here for the arms. You do have like a hinge joint on the elbow, but honestly it's not that great of a hinge joint, but it's pretty decent. It's like, you know, not an absolutely perfect figure, but I think it's pretty solid. And my main problem, again, comes with the weird facial expressions. Okay, for Leo, I think the facial expression is actually fine. It's pretty generic, like, but, you know, I think it's one of the better ones. But, you know, it looks pretty, you know, like standard enough that I'm not bothered by it. Articulation remains pretty much the same for him. He has a little bit more movement in certain aspects because, you know, he is a little bit skinnier. Right now I have the sort of glowed up larger version of his sword, but he also comes with the standard version which got a little bit bent out of shape, and glowed up little skateboard that he can skate on, and there's a little peg on there you can attach to here and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with this figure. Again, they're not perfect, but I think they did a really good job of making it look like it jumped out of the animation. Got the little details there like this and whatnot. I know these designs are pretty controversial, and while they're not my favorite, they have grown on me, and I do like how Leo just falls over when Mikey kind of kicks him. No, but I like how they are unique and individualized, which is kind of, I don't know, I kind of like it. Mikey's actually not too bad on the facial expression either. It's kind of also like a weird, almost like he's not sure if he's ready to fight or if he's also at an awkward school picture day, but it's not that off-putting, and they got little bits of the details in there and stuff like that, which is nice. I got his glowed up weapons here. This one's kind of like a spirally saw, and this one's like a little fist if you can see it. Those are the ones obviously having him in his hands right now. Again, the articulation's basically the same setup. You have the pretty much same range of motion. My only problem is I feel like, maybe it's because I'm used to double elbow joints, but the elbow joints on these are a little bit weird. Like, they feel like they don't do very much. And I feel like even these, like, I want to do a little bit more. It's just out of your reach, but it is better articulated than some figures, and at least it's pretty standard despite them being a little bit different sizes. He also comes with his different glowed up weapon as well. I think that was it for him. I feel like he came with stickers, but that might just be the large one. But let me get him to stand a little bit. Now here we have Donnie, who's actually my favorite of this current group, just because I like his design the best. And not that I dislike Donnie across all versions of Ninja Turtles that I've seen, but usually he's like on the lower end of my favorites, but I don't know, I just really enjoy him in this one. He's got his little sort of drone here, which attaches on his backpack if you so desire. I got his glowed up weapon right here. But see, my problem is he's my favorite, and he's got such a stern look on his face, which, not that he never looks serious, but I just feel it's very ill-fitting. At least the, like, Raph's being kind of awkward is, like, trying to be mad. I just kind of wish it had more of a, I don't know, playful personality or something. Just this kind of mad, almost bored look just doesn't really fit his personality, and it just kind of bothers me. But that's just like a really weird nitpick. But again, I think the colors are pretty well done. They did a good job on the purple and whatnot. Could have been neat to maybe identify the glasses a little bit more, but, you know, overall pretty decent. And he also comes with, where is it, a standard version of his staff too, if you don't want to do the glowed up version. But they're overall pretty nice for the turtles. I'll get to a final verdict here. Now here we have Splinter, who actually, speaking of designs, I'm not too huge of a fan of Splinter's design in this show, but I actually kind of like the figure. Like, I kind of like the figure more than seeing him in the show. Like, he looks super ugly and dirty in the show, but like this one looks a little bit more presentable. He's got little bits of articulation for kind of a tubbier figure. You know, you can move his head a little bit, you can move his waist, you can move his legs little bits. Same thing with the arms. You can only put his staff in this hand. This one's like in a permanent knocking on the door hand. And you got his little tail here, so it's pretty limited. It's one of those ones where you can at least do subtle things, which is nice to give it a little bit of personality, but there's not a whole lot you can do just because of his design. But I think they also did a pretty good job on him paint-wise. And again, it's just kind of weird that this is one of the figures I was looking forward to the least, just because I'm, again, not a fan of his design in the show, but I actually kind of like the figure. All right, here we got one of their version of the foot soldiers. Well, I guess that's true, but of the, you know, the Foot Clan here. I actually really like this design. It's very, very Grim Reapery, which is super cool. Like, it's like a Grim Reaper ninja with like a foot stamp on it. It's pretty basic compared to everyone else. Like, you basically just have gray color and then the orange here. His weapon's falling out here, but it's kind of like a bit of a scythe. And I believe he's the one that comes with these little bits here. And the articulation is, you know, you got the little hinge here. You don't have a knee joint here, which is kind of annoying. And this is kind of permanently fixed in this pose, which is kind of awkward. Hinge joint here, a little bit of head up and down movement and around. But, you know, it's probably one of the most basic figures in this, well, basic figure wave. But I just wanted to highlight that I actually really like the foot soldiers design for this series. I think it's pretty neat. All right, now we have one of the main big bads. You see that weird foot thing. You got Drax is here, who's just kind of in a permanent, majestic standing pose. He's got a couple different little, of his mutant little monster allies there, which is neat. I especially really like this one. You got those that come with him. And they also did a pretty good job on him, I think, capturing him, his essence from the show. So you got the little guys on his shoulders again there as well. A good job on the paint. Pretty generic facial expression, like nothing to write home about. And you do have bits of articulation, fairly similar to the turtles. No waist articulation. You do have like really weird, because of the way he's designed, legs, but that's, well, just part of it. But it's kind of, in a way, like he definitely has more articulation than Splinter here, but it kind of reminds me of Splinter because it's much more subtle. Like, I can't imagine posing, and he can't move his head, unless mine's permanently stuck, but he can't move his head, which is super awkward. But you can kind of just more do subtle things. And I can't imagine posing him in something really extreme. So I don't know. All right, now we have Meat Sweats here, another one of the villains from the series. He's definitely got a lot of personality, uber pink. You've got his little meat cleaver weapon here, and his other accessory is actually, it's like, I like how it's also like a bone, which is cool. You can take this off, and it's really funny. I first thought, oh man, this is really flimsy, but you're supposed to be able to switch it out with this little regeneration bit here. So that's kind of neat. I like that they that made a distinct popping noise. But yeah, I'm not too huge on this guy just because I'm not like too huge on the character. But you know, they did a pretty good job on it. If you want one to display, or if you know kids want a villain to fight, it looks pretty good. Again, pretty good job on the paint. You got enough articulation bits and stuff to give him personality. There's not like a whole lot with the legs, and again, the hinge joints here are kind of abysmal. But you know, he's one of my lesser favorites. Also of note, included in this wave is April, which I could not find. The last two figure waves I've reviewed for like non-PR stuff, I'm always missing one, and so I want to get the review out timely, so I kind of skip over it. But it was April, and then Big Hero 6, I believe it was the villain guy. But yeah, that is basically it for these. Overall, these figures aren't perfect, but I think they're pretty good. I think overall, I think I said overall a bunch of times, I'm sorry, but I think Playmates does a pretty good job with figures. I think kids especially will really like these because I appreciate, even if it's not perfect, just how much they look like the cartoon, and I think kids will like that. They have a good amount of articulation, good amount of accessories. You know, the molds aren't perfect. I think that some of the articulation and whatnot could be tweaked on them, but, you know, it's not that huge of a deal. I just wish they were a little bit better. But honestly, just as a personal thing, my only complaint is I just wish they tweaked the facial expressions on the turtles. But that, you know, could be something that bothers me, but might not bother you. Anyway, until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. And of course, don't forget to climb the steps and ring that bell to get all the notifications for my videos. Until next time, Dawson Ryder, signing out.